You know that feeling when you pick up a product and just think, wow, this is brilliant. Or you use a service and everything just clicks. Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on the hidden journey that makes that happen. We're going to go from that first little spark of an idea all the way to the finished product in your hands.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You use one phone and it feels like an extension of your hand. You use another and it's just clumsy. Why is that? Why does one app solve your problem perfectly while another just gives you a headache?
The answer, almost always, is hidden in that journey. It's this high-stakes adventure, really, filled with tough calls, creative breakthroughs, and a series of filters that separate the game-changing successes from the ideas that, well, just fade away. And that whole journey starts with two powerhouse concepts that people mix up all the time, but they are fundamentally different: innovation and design. I love how this slide just lays it all out. Think of innovation as that bolt of lightning, the big what-if question. It's the totally new, maybe even crazy idea. But design is the crucial how-to. It's the nuts and bolts plan that grabs that spark and figures out how to make it into something you can actually use.
So let's zoom in on that first one, innovation. At its heart, it's purely about creating something new. It could be a tiny little improvement, or it could be some massive, revolutionary idea that completely changes the game for an entire industry.
But here's the thing. An idea, no matter how amazing, is pretty much useless without its partner: design. Design is what gives that innovation a body. It gives it function, it gives it a look, it makes it real. Without good design, the best idea in the world is just a daydream.
So once an idea is out there, is that it? Does it just stay the same? No way. Great ideas are alive. They evolve. They actually go through this pretty predictable life cycle of growth, maturity, and sometimes, well, they fade out.
And this S-shaped curve shows it perfectly. Just look at it. When a new idea first appears, progress is kind of slow. People are just figuring it out. Then, boom, you hit that steep part of the curve, a period of super rapid growth where performance just shoots up. But eventually, things level off. It matures, it hits its natural limit, and making it any better gets really, really hard. And that's usually when the next big innovation comes along to start a whole new S-curve.
And get this, not all innovations are the same. This model here is a fantastic way to sort them out. You've got two things to think about: the impact on the individual parts of a product and the impact on the system that connects those parts. So if you've got low impact on both the parts and the system, that's just an incremental tweak. Simple. But what if you change a core part but keep the system the same? That's modular, like putting a fancy new heart scanner into an existing hospital. Now, what if you keep the same old parts but just rearrange the system? That's architectural. Think of a walk-in doctor's clinic. Same doctors, same tools, just a new way of delivering the service. And when you change both the parts and the system, that's radical innovation. Telemedicine is a perfect example. It completely changed what healthcare even looks like.
Okay, so you have all these different types of ideas floating around. Now what? Well, now they have to face the gauntlet. This is the design process, and it's a brutal but totally necessary filter that weeds out all the weak ideas.
It all starts here. Literally hundreds of potential ideas are pouring into the top of this funnel. They're coming from everywhere: customers, R&D, what your competitors are doing. It's a total creative storm. And from that storm, the funnel narrows down, and fast. After you've got this flood of concepts, you hit the screening stage, where most of them get tossed out. The few that survive move on to preliminary design, where they start to look like a real thing. And then finally, the best of the best make it to the prototyping stage, where the final design gets locked in.
And after all that, from the hundreds of ideas that went in, just one comes out the other side. It is an intense, ruthless process. So the really important question is, how are those decisions made? What makes one idea survive and another one die?
Well, the very first test is about pure reality, feasibility. It's the "can we actually do this" question. Do we have the tech, the money, the people? If the answer is no, the idea is dead in the water, right then and there.
If an idea passes the feasibility test, it immediately faces the next hurdle: acceptability. This is all about value. Sure, we can build it, but should we? Is anyone actually going to want this? Does it solve a real problem? And, of course, can we make any money from it? This is where you judge if there's a real market for the thing.
And finally, if it passes that, it faces the last test, vulnerability. This is the risk assessment. You have to ask the hard questions. What's the worst-case scenario? What could go horribly wrong? Could this hurt our brand? Is the risk just too high? Only the ideas that can pass all three of these hurdles make it through the funnel.
So, our one winning idea has survived. It's made it through the gauntlet. Now the real work starts, turning that concept into a detailed, solid, and customer-focused blueprint. And one of the key tools for this is something called Quality Function Deployment, or QFD. The easiest way to think about it is as a master translator. It takes all the things customers say they want, the what's, and it translates them directly into the technical specs and engineering actions the company has to take, the how's. It literally keeps the customer's voice at the center of every single decision.
And how you organize the team to do this work matters a lot. The old way was like a relay race. One department would finish their part and just toss it over the wall to the next. It was slow, it created silos, and you usually didn't find huge problems until it was way too late and super expensive to fix. The new way is all about working together, simultaneously. You get everyone, design, engineering, marketing, you name it, in a room from day one. You catch problems early, you move way faster, and the final product is almost always so much better.
All this theory is great, but the real world is always the ultimate test, right? To see what happens when this whole process just completely breaks down, let's look at a really powerful case study from South Africa, the RDP Housing Initiative. The concept behind it was absolutely essential: provide shelter and dignity to people who desperately needed it. And the package wasn't just 4 walls and a roof. It was supposed to include water, power, sanitation, the whole shebang. The process was the complex system to make it all happen. But if we look back at it using our 3 hurdles, you can see exactly where the cracks in the design started to show. On feasibility, were there ever truly enough funds, enough skilled builders, enough land for a project on this enormous scale? On acceptability, did these standardized little houses actually meet the real needs of the families moving in? And on vulnerability, the risks were huge. Poor construction, corruption, lack of infrastructure, and sadly, a lot of those risks became a reality. It's just a tragic, powerful lesson in how a failure in these early design stages can have devastating consequences.
So that leaves us with this final thought. Every great product you love, from the app on your phone to the car you drive, started as a simple idea that had to run this gauntlet. Getting it right isn't magic. It's a deliberate, difficult, and crucial process. And whether that process ends up being a clear path to success or just a dangerous gamble, well, it all comes down to the design. Thanks for joining me on this one.